Welcome back to another episode of Top of the List, our second episode of the year 2021. Of course, we kicked off the new year last week, I should say, with our favorite movies of the year 2020. Now we're going to stay with that idea, but we're going over to the realm of television. Now, of course, with the pandemic taking over most of the year 2020, a lot of great television to be watched. There were a lot of great shows that both Dom and I were able to watch this year, or this past year, I should say, and a lot of great shows to choose from. So how we're going to do this, we're going to start off with a couple of honorable mentions from each of us, and then dive right on into our top 5 shows each from the year 2020. Dom, you want to get us started with your honorable mention?
Yeah, first thing I want to say is, everybody, go check out our season 3 of Cobra Kai review,
Yes.
right? That is our first video of 2021.
There you go.
Everybody, go check that one out. We went really in depth. We really did a good job analyzing that one. Please, go check that one out and let us know what your thoughts were on Cobra Kai season 3. Really hype video. We did season 1 and 2 on our channel, so please go check out season 3. And then, like you said, Ryan, I'm going to go right into my honorable mentions for 2020,
Yes,
right?
Television shows and seasons. We'll do in this episode both show seasons that premiered in 2021 as well as shows as a whole that debuted in 2020. And I beg your pardon, shows seasons that started in 2020 and shows that debuted altogether in the year 2020.
Yeah, so my one and only honorable mention is a show I watched with my mom and dad back at home when it premiered on HBO. So if you don't have HBO, please go and check this one out. Maybe, there's so many people that have HBO Max and don't know they have it. Like, I was able to share my HBO Max with Ryan, and he was able to watch a lot of great stuff on HBO.
Still watching, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So, of course, my one and only honorable mention is Raised by Wolves. If I were to give this show a score, it'd be a 7.5 out of 10. Not in that great territory, but definitely near that.
Yeah.
For a first season, definitely captured my imagination. And as I'm sure you're able to recognize the name, Ryan, Ridley Scott, a producer and, partially writer of this show. A fantastic opening theme for this show. I got to shout out the opening theme for this one. Really sets you in the mood for this one, and some fantastic performances, along with a mysterious story that really keeps you interested. But I do have to say, the reason why this one's a 7.5 out of 10, they take a long time to get to answer the questions you're asking.
Okay.
That's one of my biggest gripes with a lot of these shows. Sometimes they take too long to answer these big questions that they start off in the pilot. That's what this show does. It makes you wait until episode 5, 6, 7, to answer those big questions. And that's what this show did. But the payoff, I do have to say, is worth it. Go check it out. The CGI in this show, especially, phenomenal. The art direction, phenomenal. Really great stuff. Raised by Wolves, 7.5 out of 10, my honorable mention.
Now, I've never heard of Raised by Wolves. Can you give us just a little brief synopsis? Because I have no idea what this show's about.
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of like an alternate future where, there's this super religious society that meets on this planet. I think it's AD 141 or something like that. And very reminiscent of the Alien films. And it centers around mother and father, these 2 androids that land on this crashed planet, sent there by an atheist. And it's all about the clash between these religious zealots that are kind of, I guess you could say, at odds with these atheist robots. And they're it's a very religious show, but it's not like religious where it's preaching to you. Mm-hmm. It's religious to the point where it's like contemplating what the meaning of God is.
Right.
Like, that's what I love about it.
Yeah, very interesting. Definitely seems like a Ridley Scott, directed show and created show. But sure. Yeah, definitely seems like worth a watch, especially since you graciously gifted me your HBO login.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to go into my honorable mentions now. I have a couple here. I'm going to talk briefly on one. One of my favorite shows of all time came to an end in 2021. We only got about half of the final season in 2021, which is the only reason, or 2020. I'm sorry. I'm ready for 2020. Right? I'm excited, I should say, for 2020 to be over. But yeah, so this show, only about half the season, the final 4 episodes, appeared in 2020. Everything else was 2019 or before. And that show is The Good Place, starring Ted Danson and Kristen Bell, amongst others. One of my favorite shows of all time. These final 4 episodes were incredible. I wanted to put this on my list, but it felt unfair because it was only 4 episodes in the year 2020. But definitely for anyone who has not seen The Good Place, this is an incredible, incredible show. You know, you think it's a comedy, but really, really a great idea and understanding of the afterlife and really morality. I started watching the show when I was still in college and wrote papers about it in my ethics class because there's a lot to do with ethics and the true meaning of right versus wrong and how we as human beings should be evaluated. So this was a really great show. Got to give it a recommend. 10 out of 10 show, but like I said, honorable mention because only 4 episodes in the year 2020.
Yeah, my mom actually watched this show and was recommending it to me, so I think I'm going to go ahead and binge it since you also recommended it.
It is great, and I believe it's on Peacock now. It's a great new streaming service for the year 2021.
Fantastic.
And definitely worth a watch. My other one, I am a sucker for cooking competition shows. And I'm going to go with one that my girlfriend found for me, Caitlin found for me. I had no idea anything about this show. She said, just give it a watch. It is called Crazy Delicious. It is actually a British cooking competition show. And, you know, you have great cooking shows where they have, like, a challenge. They have to create something. And then you have on Food Network, like, these cake shows where you see these people creating these elaborate giant cakes. This kind of combines them. So these are people making real food, not desserts, real food, but they have to present it in the most crazy, outlandish way. I remember distinctly one, this guy had, the challenge was pizza, and he made an entire volcano that was erupting with these little pizza stuffed lava balls.
Oh my god.
Like, oh my goodness. And if I'm not mistaken, everyone in the show is a home chef. They're not professional cooks.
Oh, okay.
So I loved this show. It was awesome. And it's set in a Willy Wonka-esque like garden where, you know, they're foraging for their food through the garden.
I've seen the commercial for that one.
It was such a wild ride. So I really like this. Once again, you know, I'm going to stick probably with for my list, you know, original story shows. Okay. But yeah, this one was also.
Is that a Netflix show?
It's on Netflix.
That's
so it's a British television show that Netflix purchased the rights here stateside.
Got it. Okay, yeah, because I've definitely seen that one on Netflix, and it looks awesome.
It's so amazing. I mean, cooking competition shows aren't everyone's cup of tea. I grew up on them. Either sports was on the television or cooking competitions. And yeah, this is one of the best. I really enjoyed this.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, those are our honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Let's dive on into our list. How did you want to do this? Do you want to go 5-5, or do you want to just go into our list altogether?
Let's go with our number 5 picks.
Okay.
So definitely my number 5 pick. I don't think it's the same as your number 5 pick, but for me, one that really surprised me, I just, out of respect of the director and the story and the amount of surprise it granted me, I got to give this one number 5, Tiger King. I think I gave this one an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. A show that I thought would not be great, but was really engaging. This one threw me through a loop.
This gets me so excited because for those of you who haven't noticed from most of the show, it's usually Dom recommending something to me watching it and either saying, it's not my cup of tea, or I loved it. This was one that I actually got to recommend to Dom. He's like, I don't want to watch it. It looks stupid. Yeah. And I'm glad it made it on your list. This is going to be on my list too, much further down. To me, this was a 9.5 or a 10 out of 10. So this is going to be top 2 on my list. But I'm glad you appreciated Tiger King. And this one, it is not an original story, but it's just so, you know, it's true. It's a documentary.
Yeah.
And it's so outlandish that it could be an original story. And I think they're making a dramatization of it.
And that's why it sits at number 5 for me. Normally, this would be my honorable mention. But for me, a non-documentary fan, a guy that doesn't normally watch documentaries, this one got a held of me. You know, it held me in for the entirety of each episode. Builds to this fantastic finale where you're like, oh my God, I gotta watch the next one. And it's one of those things where, like we said in our review, you have to see it to believe it. And that's what is so fantastic about this show.
Yes, this one coming out right as the pandemic started. Yeah. And I remember all the memes, you know, they're saying, you know, global pandemic has started. Netflix, you know, CEO and board of board of trustees, or that's a college term, but what are we looking
Yeah.
Board of directors, that's what I'm looking for. Sitting around in a conference room, global pandemic, what do we do? And they just whisper, release the Tiger documentary. But it was perfect. It's what we needed to keep our mind off of everything that was going wrong in the world.
100%.
Yeah. So this is going to be on my list too later on, but I'm glad you went with Tiger King. Definitely a great show. My number 5, I'm going to go with an Amazon Prime original. It's called Upload. Now, this was what sort of filled the void when The Good Place went away, because it's a very similar story plotline. So this show takes place in the year 2035, and in it, essentially, before you die, you can upload your conscience onto this computer grid and then continue like living, and then the people in the living world can come see you. It's interesting, like people who are still in love, I thought this was one of the funniest gags, and people who are like in love and the person passes on, they can buy like these VR sex suits and like still get together. You can attend your own funeral, but it's really a commentary on the dichotomy of wealth as well, because all the wealthy people are here in this great community. I forget the exact name of the community, but they're living in this like hillside villa. They can control the weather personally for their own likes, and then the poor people, they live in they only get 1 gig per month. So if they don't, they like freeze for the rest of the month, and they're in these just like plain, white hued rooms. It's really interesting. And then you also get to see, the people who, are coming and visiting their loved ones, the wealthy, versus the people that are actually running this VR world, who are the poor people. Computer programmers have become a dime a dozen in like 2035. And everyone who are these computer programmers are just sitting there in this office running this, virtual world for the deceased rich. And it was really an original thought. Robbie Amell is in it. He's amazing, as well as the supporting cast. I really enjoyed this one. I'm going to give it probably about an 8.5 out of 10. And this is number 5 on my list. So to me, there were quite a few shows deserving very high praise for the year 2020. So I'm going to kick it off with Upload, 8.5 out of 10, Prime Video. It's still on there. Season 2 has been renewed. There's no release date yet, but really looking forward to Season 2, because there is a crazy cliffhanger that we get left on at the end of Season 1.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I've heard a lot of praise for Upload, including from my own mom. Yeah. She definitely binged it within like 2 days.
Yeah, that's the problem. It is, 1 season, because it did premiere this year, and I think it's only like 8 or 10 episodes. That kind of bummed me out, but definitely, it is a show that's going to get you binging for sure.
For sure. All right. So I think we can move on to number 4, right?
Absolutely.
So number 4 for me is, I have a hard time deciding on this one. I don't know. Maybe you want to go first.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to pick between 3 and 4.
So number 4 for me is The Umbrella Academy Season 2. Now,
I just want to go out there and say, I think we have the same one for number 4.
Okay. I thought you were going to give this one a little bit higher of a score than I was. Now, personally, I preferred Season 1.
Okay.
And that's why I thought you may give Season 2 a higher score, because this was another one that I recommended to you.
Right.
That I had watched Season 1. I had waited the full year for Season 2 to come out, or 1.5 years, however long it was. And to me, Season 2 was very different from Season 1. It was still very good, but I just preferred Season 1. So that's why I put this one at number 4, 8.5 out of 10. Number 1, Season 1 to me was more of a 9, 9.5. But that being said, I think you may have enjoyed it a little bit more because you watched Season 1 and then Season 2 back to back. I have a lot of great nostalgia for number 1, but you brought up when we were doing these reviews of Umbrella Academy, some of the flaws in Season 1 that I didn't remember, that I just was nostalgic. Wow, 18 months ago I watched this and it was great. I can't wait for Season 2.
Season 2 for me was, I think I gave Season 1 a 7 out of 10. Season 2 was a 9 out of 10. I gave Tiger King an 8.5. So obviously this is the next step up for me. Season 2 of Umbrella Academy was a full 2-point restoration of this show. I mean, every storyline was hitting, except for the reason it wasn't a 10 out of 10 was Luther was the weak point of this.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people felt that way in season 1, and here again in season 2. They agree. He is, for someone who's supposed to be, number 1, space boy, badass, especially for anyone who read the comics. And in the comics, there are a lot more flashbacks of their past where he's sort of this, big badass leader. You're right. He's kind of just an oaf.
But what makes this season a 9 out of 10 for me? The Tiki Bar scene alone, where they're all together. The Tiki Bar scene is incredible.
So
fantastic. Yes. And how about Klaus's storyline? Klaus is one of the strongest characters of the show, along with 5. He is so incredible in this season as well.
They are both incredible in this season, but I prefer both of their performances in season 1.
Okay, that's fair.
But that's it. Our scores are very similar. I'm giving it an 8.5, very similar to Upload.
Right.
You're going to give it a 9. Yeah. So, very similar there.
Yeah.
Good conversation about Umbrella Academy. Definitely a binge-worthy show. You got 2 seasons to watch now if you haven't watched Umbrella Academy.
Yeah. Before we finish Umbrella Academy, can we talk about the implications for season 3?
Season 3. Oh boy, that's the spoilers. Okay.
Yeah, spoilers, guys. Spoilers.
So if you have not watched Umbrella Academy, please do not hear us on this.
Yes. Skip ahead a few minutes.
Yes, please. Okay, that's our spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Good. You've watched it now if you're watching.
Yeah.
Sparrow Academy. Ben is back alive, and we get to see Ben, who has been so badass in Klaus's, seances, Klaus's companion. Now we get to see him truly in the flesh.
Possibly the most emotional storyline was Ben's this season.
Yes.
When they're in the hospital and Ben appears and sacrifices himself, I was crying. It was so incredible. Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens in season.
I'm so excited. And Ben, full 180, just from the one line we saw, in that final scene of season 2. Really excited to see what they do with Ben.
Yeah, really excited for that. Then I guess I'm going to go into my number 3 right now.
Good.
So end of spoiler warning,
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. And we are now on our number 3 pick for 2020. My number 3 pick, these top 3, I feel like are all interchangeable. I would give them all the same score, numerically the same score. But as far as my personal taste, number 3 goes to The Queen's Gambit. We are going to be exactly the same both for 4 and 3. I definitely agree. Queen's Gambit, I go back and forth between I want to give it either a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10. Brilliantly acted, brilliantly directed, brilliantly, edited. Yes. And, to me, why I love Queen's Gambit, I'm a huge sports guy. This movie, albeit about chess, which, people go back and forth. Is chess truly a sport? Should it be an Olympic sport? A movie about chess that felt like a high-stakes sports drama, which I love. What were your thoughts on it? That's the exact same reason why I love this one. As something as mundane as chess has never been as exciting as it has been in The Queen's Gambit. The story is so engrossing. Yeah. The characters are so real. Here's the amazing thing I've heard about Queen's Gambit. Now, you and I both know the game of chess, not nearly as much as our characters, but we played chess growing up, went to chess club in elementary school. Yeah. I have talked to so many people who know nothing of the game of chess and still loved this show. You do not need to be a chess head to enjoy The Queen's Gambit. Our friend Alex De Leon, he's watching it right now. I think he's on episode 8 or 9 or 7 or 8. He has never had an interest in chess. He loves this show. He says, man, I want to get my own chessboard. Seriously, that's how it makes you feel. Yeah, it is an incredible show. And let's talk about the acting in the show. Anya Taylor-Joy, one of my favorite actresses since I saw her in Split. She is phenomenal in this main character role she has. So incredible. Yeah, she was absolutely fantastic. I saw the trailers and looking at her, I'm saying, I don't know if I'm going to like this. She seems a little flat, a little blunt. She plays it perfectly, just the right amount. Yes. Yeah. And that's a fine line to do. That's so difficult when you're playing someone who, let's be honest, her character, is like that, really. She's, gone through a tragedy in her life. She has one thing that she's able to focus on. She's kind of, through most of the series, she's drugged out, and she's sort of, sensory, what's the word I'm looking for? Deprived? Is that sensorily deprived? Yeah. And yet that's hard to play, and she does a brilliant job. And while you bring up the sensorial deprivation here, that is something the cinematographers play on.
Yeah.
And that is where the show really shines to me. Something I didn't expect was the cinematography, the direction, the camera moves,
Yes.
the incredible shots. I was floored by some of, not to mention the costume design and the period-specific designs of, you know, the 1970s.
Yes.
You know, and all of that.
Yeah, the different, you know, from hotels, where, you know, high school gymnasiums in the 50s to the hotels in Vegas of the 60s and 70s to, you know, the big chess hall in our finale where she has the face-off. Incredible set design.
Yeah. Fantastic. So I'm going to give it a 9.5. What would you say you give it?
Can I give it a 9.25?
I would forgive you for giving it that score. Yeah,
I can't decide. I go back and forth between a 9 and a 9.5. I had some problems. And go watch our Queen's Gambit review.
Yes.
I did have some flaws with this one. This is not a full-on review of that show. But 9 or 9.5, somewhere in there. I need to think about it.
Hard to decide on this one.
Absolutely.
And then let's go into our number 2. What is your number 2, RB?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to spend much time on this one because we talked about it.
Okay.
Tiger King's my number 2. Okay. 10 out of 10. Unlike Dom and why this is higher on my list, I'm a huge documentary fan. I thought this one was brilliantly done. Bravo to its creators. Really excited to see, you know, what direction they go with the dramatization, because they could play it funny, they could play it serious. I've heard, and I don't know if this is just rumors or if it's official, Nicolas Cage as Joe Exotic. So I'm really excited to see where they go with the dramatization, but I love this series. 10 out of 10, bravo, Netflix. Like we said, exactly what we needed at the start of this weird, wacky time in 2020. So Tiger King for me is number 2. Dom, go ahead. You're number 2.
I'm excited to see what Nicolas Cage can do in the dramatization. I don't know. I want to put it out there, guys. I like Nicolas Cage.
I do not like him.
I know you don't.
Yes.
But here's my thing. I like him generally. Right. I haven't seen some of his recent movies that people have been praising. I think it's Mandy is one of the ones that have recently come out.
I want to say the only things I've seen with Nicolas Cage are National Treasure.
Me too.
And Ghost Rider.
Me too.
Was not a fan of either of those. Now he is
Ghost Rider.
Yes, me too. Now he's also, I've never seen him in a comedic role. Yeah. He is hosting a new show that we'll probably be reviewing soon called The History of Swear Words, right?
Yes.
On Netflix that we will be reviewing very soon. He looks, just in the trailers, hysterical in this. So I'm excited to see that, review that. And I think, you know, this is probably what he's doing to transition and get ready to play the wacky Joe Exotic.
I've seen Nicolas Cage give good performances.
Okay.
I've seen him give phenomenally terrible performances.
Yes.
So it's like a 50-50 shot for him. Right. Can he pull this off? I am phenomenally excited to see what he can do.
So if any Saturday Night Live fans out there, consistently Andy Samberg plays Nicolas Cage in the newest series on Weekend Update called Get in the Cage, where he does movie reviews. And at the end of it, he always goes, I've got one question about this film. Why was I not in this movie? And you know what? He's getting his chance here in the dramatization of Tiger King. And let's see, why are you in this movie, Nicolas Cage?
Yeah. And I think right here is where your picture is in the numbers. I'm going to make a move on the spot here that kind of bewilders me personally, but it's for a good reason. I have some reasons to say.
Yeah.
Number 2 for me is The Mandalorian. I was going to put this at number 1. You know how much I love Star Wars. We just recently did the episode on why The Empire Strikes Back is the greatest film of all time. Right? In my opinion.
In your opinion.
In my opinion.
One of the greatest films.
One of the greatest for you.
I would not put it at number 1, but yes.
Right, but definitely in your
top 5. Yeah, without a doubt.
So we talked about how much we love Star Wars, how personal that is to us. I want to put The Mandalorian at number 1, but there is that episode 2 that is a 6 out of 10 for me. You know, it is a slow spot. And, you know, we haven't seen the full arc of what they're going for in The Mandalorian.
Right.
How are they going to finish this out? Is Boba Fett, the book of Boba Fett, gonna fulfill everything we want to see? I don't know. That's what makes me want to put it at number 2. But overall, The Mandalorian had my single favorite, greatest episode of television ever in The Jedi. When we get to see Ahsoka Tano in live action, Rosario Dawson knocks it out of the park. The action is, this episode, The Jedi, feels like its own movie. It feels like a samurai film in the Jedi universe. That's what makes it so incredible to me. And not to mention some also fantastic episodes. We meet Bo-Katan. We also see, spoilers, Luke Skywalker in the finale.
Yeah, and not to mention, we finally get to see the arc of Boba Fett. The start of
course.
The upward part of the arc, I guess you could say.
We haven't seen the completion of it, which is why I can't give it the full 10 out of 10 that it should be. I give this season 2 of The Mandalorian, a 9.5 out of 10, the same as I would give it The Queen's Gambit. But, you know, I love Star Wars, so I got to rank it higher than The Queen's Gambit. But season 2 of The Mandalorian was a full-fledged improvement of season 1. I have to stress that. Yeah. Season 1 had so many slow episodes. Yeah. This season did a great job with the pacing, did a great job with the direction, did a great job with cinematography and the acting. Everything, they did a great job. One slow episode. So number 2, The Mandalorian for me.
Yeah, and I'll comment on The Mandalorian. I'm a huge Star Wars fan as well, and this would definitely be in my top 10, not my top 5. My thing with Mandalorian, nothing against The Mandalorian. I just love the arc of our 9, or the original trilogy, the prequels, and then the new sequels. Right. And everything else to me is subpar. And let me rewind it real quickly there. Not everything else. I'm watching the Clone Wars right now, which still is part of the Skywalker saga, which I'm a huge fan of. But otherwise, anything else from Star Wars, it just feels like it's wedged in there to be wedged in there. And that's how I feel about The Mandalorian. It's a great show, don't get me wrong. But it's not truly Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is the Skywalker saga.
And let me put this in there. Yeah. You and me are in kind of the minority here where we like all 3 arcs of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people hate the sequels. A lot of people hate the prequels.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of like all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll have our dislikes of The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
We'll have our dislikes of, The Last Jedi, of whatever, Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. But overall, we like that 9-episode arc.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll be honest, at least from my point of view, and I know, Dom, you may differ a little bit, but Rogue One, Solo,
spin-offs.
They are not, to me, part of that original arc, and therefore they will never be as good, have that nostalgic value of those 9 films.
Even though I think, maybe Solo and Rogue One are, in some scenes, a better film than The Phantom Menace, a better film than, Attack of the Clones, even how much I know you love Attack of the Clones. I also love parts of the Attack of the Clones. Yes. No matter what I say about those movies, they can never, Solo and Rogue One can never reach the highs that even the weakest of our Skywalker saga have.
Yeah.
Because they're just spin-offs.
Correct.
That's all it is.
Correct.
That's the simple fact of it.
And I'll also bring up one more point that it just dawned on me.
Yeah.
None of those films have a true Jedi Knight.
Of course.
How hard is it to watch a Star Wars series or Star Wars show and not have really a lightsaber wielded until the final episode of season 1, and then we see it midway in season 2, and then the finale of season 2. That is what it is. That's what got me when I first was watching movie trailers, and I saw the trailer of Attack of the Clones, which was the first one I saw in theaters, and saw for the first time in my eyes Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi draw their lightsabers. That's Star Wars to me.
Yeah.
And, as much as I love The Mandalorian, we have, with the exception of Ahsoka Tano, and then the occasional time we see Moff Gideon with the Darksaber, and then Luke Skywalker in the finale, we don't see much of the lightsaber.
But that's what these films, this TV show, the second season, did better than those spin-offs.
Correct.
Right. So that's why I like it so much, because they finally gave us what we want. So we have to give them credit for that.
Without a doubt. And yes, this was definitely a major upgrade from season 2, from season 1. Go ahead and watch both. Did we do a Mandalorian season 1 review, or did we just do a season 2? We
kind of talked about it, yeah.
Okay,
I'm not sure if we'll give it a full episode.
Go ahead and watch both of those if you haven't yet. Watch our review, see if you agree with us. Yep. Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry. I thought you had something to say.
No. Go ahead. What's your number 2, Ryan?
So number 1, because Tiger King was my number 2.
Number 2.
Yeah. So do you want me to do my number 1 first, or do you want
to go number 1?
Okay.
I'll go number 1.
So my number 1 here, one that I know you haven't watched, going back to Amazon Prime original, Hunters. this show was incredible, was mind-blowing. Half based on a true story, half sort of, kind of, alternate reality.
Yeah.
This film stars Al Pacino and Logan Lerman, amongst others. Also, Josh Radnor is in it. Shout out to Josh Radnor from How I Met Your Mother. He's incredible in this as Lonnie Flash. And it's a group of I think there's an old Jewish couple who survived the Holocaust. Of course, Al Pacino also plays an older Jewish man who survived the Holocaust. Let's see, who else? We've got a Catholic nun. We've got Josh Radnor is a younger Jewish, movie star who sort of lost his break because he's addicted to drugs, and this younger Jewish kid. And they are hunting Nazis in America based off of something called Operation Paperclip. Now, Operation Paperclip was a real thing. It was a way that the American government brought Nazis into the United States, gave them new identities, pardoned all their war crimes so they'd be part of the space race. The best Nazi scientists trying to get them to America instead of getting them to the Soviet Union so that America could win the space race. And it's basically these, this group of hunters hunting down these Nazis, saying they don't get to be pardoned for their war crimes just because they helped us get to the moon. It is incredible. There are some crazy twists and turns at the end, and that's where it sort of goes from based on a true story to alternate reality. Tarantinian, I would definitely use that term. Huge Quentin Tarantino fan, very reminiscent of a Tarantino film. I'm pretty sure that Jordan Peele has a hand in this. I know he's not the creator, but he wrote some episodes. Yeah, I have nothing but rave reviews to say about the show. This is also a 10 out of 10 for me, but a 10 out of 10, a full tier above Tiger King. Hunters, incredible. Dom, I need you to watch this one. Another one that has been renewed for season 2, but no release date yet. Once again, like Upload, a crazy cliffhanger at the end of season 1. I'm really excited for more of Hunters.
For you guys that don't know, I am a gigantic Al Pacino fan.
Yeah.
He's in this one.
Correct. Yeah.
I need to see this. Yeah. I mean, you and I just watched Godfather Part 2.
Yes.
Possibly one of his best performances of all time.
Oh, without a doubt. He is incredible in Godfather Part 2.
So I need to check this one out. You're absolutely right. Plus the Tarantino stuff, totally all in on this. I'm definitely going to check this one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I want to give my number one.
I know you're number one. I feel I've known this the whole time, and we've talked about this show before in other episodes, correct?
But I gotta apologize. I forgot to give an honorable mention. You gave 2 honorable mentions.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
My second honorable mention would have been Haunting of Bly Manor. I forgot to mention this one. For this one, it was interchangeable in number 5 for me. I could have gone Tiger King, could have gone The Haunting of Bly Manor. Maybe I'll go Haunting of Bly Manor, maybe I'll go Tiger King. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's sports analogy. Anyone who knows stats, we'll put the little T5,
Exactly.
Yeah, T5, and then the next honorable mention is going to be 7th,
Exactly. So Haunting of Bly Manor for me was a fantastic follow-up to The Haunting of Hill House, but it never reached the heights of that first show. There was some phenomenal moments, some incredible dread, some incredible sadness, some incredible emotion, incredible acting, but this was a slow-paced show. The first season, The Haunting of Hill House, was not slow-paced. There was a lot of great momentum in that show. This one lacked that. But I do have to say, the ambiance, the cinematography, the way that they presented the Bly Manor itself was fantastic, and a few standout performances that would have been my favorite performances of all time if there wasn't these few shows at my top 3. Anya Taylor-Joy, Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin, he did phenomenal in The Mandalorian. It was just that there were so many other great performances that stood a little bit above this because of my personal taste, that this one did not reach in my top 3.
Got it. And remind us, you did a review after this show debuted, correct? So go back if you are interested again and want Dom to go more in depth on why he liked or disliked The Haunting at Bly Manor. We do have a review for that here at Top of the List. Just go to our YouTube channel, or for those of you who are listening on Spotify, we have an episode that goes more in depth on The Haunting at Bly Manor.
We go full spoil, or at least I go full spoilers on The Haunting of Bly Manor, and yeah, check that one out. I'll give you my full score, full spoilers, full everything. So definitely check that one out. But that's my other honorable mention I forgot to mention. And then, of course, #1 TV show released in 2020 was our final season of Dark on Netflix. Possibly one of the greatest TV shows of all time. Up there with Breaking Bad, for me. Up there with Avatar: The Last Airbender, with me as much as you laugh at that. I know I love Avatar too much.
You can't, I can't laugh at that because one of my favorite TV shows of all time is King of the Hill. So, I can't laugh at Avatar: The Last Airbender. So go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we both love cartoons.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
But yeah, Dark. So season 1 was, for me, a 9 out of 10. Season 2 brought it up to this unseen level of complexity and emotion and fantastical storytelling that I had never seen on a screen. So I gave season 2 a 10 out of 10, like a perfect score, like a perfect season of television that I had never seen before. So it was hard for season 3 to follow up that. So I give this one a 9.5 out of 10. Okay. But for me, I got so invested in the characters. And for me, it's so hard to deliver on a series finale that only 2 other shows have delivered. Avatar: Last Airbender season finale is the greatest season finale of all time. #2 would be the Breaking Bad season finale, one of the greatest season finales of all time. Yeah. Dark was able to pull it off and bring everything together and still leave us with just a little bit of mystery, but also fulfilling all the big questions we had. So Dark really did a great job of bringing not only one timeline, not only 2 timelines, not only 3 timelines, but also an alternate reality and 3 alternate realities all together into one fantastic finale filled with emotions, filled with character development, filled with fantastic story that all culminated in probably one of the greatest finales of all time. And it was so emotional and it was so well done that even a little bit of shoddy CGI at the end left me fulfilled. So Dark season 3 definitely is a go. Watch that, watch seasons 1, 2, and 3. You can't just jump in on
Of course.
3. It is one of those shows where you have to know every little tidbit. It's as best I've said in my review before. We have a full review of season 3 and the other seasons of Dark on our channel that I did personally. But it's what I said, as another reviewer has said. It's a show where after you watch it for a little bit and you start to figure out some of the complexities, you feel like you've earned a college degree. It's so complex. It is one of those shows. It's really fantastic, and I recommend to everybody that can handle some complex storytelling and some complex character work.
All right. Well, we both run through the list. One more time, my list, and I'll throw it over to Dom. #5 for me, Upload. 4 would be, why am I blanking out here? What was my number 4?
Wasn't it Umbrella Academy?
#4, Umbrella Academy Season 2. Thank you. #3 was going to be The Queen's Gambit, 2, Tiger King, and #1 for me, Hunters. Dom, your list one more time.
Yeah, so #5, I have kind of an interchangeable Haunting of Bly Manor and Tiger King. Pick whichever one you want. Check them both out. Yeah. They could either be #5 for me. Both the same score, 8.5 out of 10. #4 for me was Umbrella Academy, a solid 9 out of 10, a great improvement of the first season. #3, Queen's Gambit, same as you. Really surprised me with how great we can get invested in the game of chess.
Yep.
Really fantastic performances once again. #3, Queen's Gambit. #2, The Mandalorian. I just love Star Wars, guys. Go check out The Mandalorian if you love Star Wars. If you haven't seen it already and you love Star Wars, check out The Mandalorian, check out The Clone Wars, check out Star Wars Rebels. Those 3 shows are Dave Filoni blessing our eyes with fantastic Star Wars imagery and storytelling, guys. Check out those were some of the best Star Wars stories. Check them out, guys. And of course, number one for me, Dark Season 3. I've said all I needed to say. Check that one out if you want to.
All right. Well, you've heard our list now. Go ahead and drop in the comments or, what your favorite shows of 2020 were. We'd love the suggestions, more reviews to give you from shows that debuted in 2020. Of course, we have a full slate of shows coming our way in 2021 that we're looking forward to reviewing for you guys. Of course, as we mentioned earlier in this episode, the history of swear words, really looking forward to this one. Of course, coming out sooner, hopefully, rather than later, WandaVision on Disney Plus. Really excited for this one. I saw a new trailer. Anyone who watched any of the football games today on this super wild card weekend, there was another new trailer for WandaVision that once again just looks so incredible.
Oh my God.
So excited for that.
Oh, and by the way, WandaVision is going to get the same treatment as season 1 of The Mandalorian. We're going to get 2 new episodes when it premieres. We're not just going to get the season premiere, but we're going to get episodes 1 and 2. So make sure to watch both of them, guys.
Yep. On top of those, what else am I missing? What else are we coming with?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
There we go. And Loki, correct?
And Loki as well. A lot of great movies. And for me, guys, I definitely want to shout out Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Season 4. I want to see if they can finish this one out. Like I said in my we did the top 5 or top 10 episode shows on Netflix or something like that. This one is a guilty pleasure for me. Season 1 was definitely the high point. Seasons 2 and 3 kind of fell down a little bit in that 6 to 5.5 range. Can they finish it out on Season 4? I'll let you guys know in my personal review of Season 4.
But yeah, a lot of good stuff coming your way. We also have Safety. I know we want to review a movie on Disney Plus. Run, one that Dom highly recommended that I need to watch so we can review. Bad Education as well on HBO. And then we just recently were able to get Apple TV Plus as well. So a lot of great shows out on there. Defending Jacob, Ted Lasso, Greyhound, just to name a few.
I want to watch Servant.
Servant.
It was just too scary.
Yeah, that's not me. I don't mess with dolls. Dolls terrify me.
Yeah.
CeeLo, another one that looks great with Jason Momoa. The Morning Show, one that Caitlin is watching that looks great. Drew Barrymore, Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston
was really great.
Yeah, and Steve Carell as well. Yeah. Maybe we'll do an Office review. I just started The Office. I'm 2 seasons deep. We got a lot of great content for you guys coming in 2021. So stay tuned. Dom, you want to take us out with our social medias and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys want to let us know what you thought of our episode and any suggestions for what you want us to watch in 2021, maybe any movies we missed in 2020 or any previous years, let us know. And, in the comments down below, if you're watching on YouTube, let us know what your top 5 shows of 2020 were. Of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at DomGonzales48, DomGonzales 48. And of course, you can follow Ryan on Twitter at RB with the call and on Instagram at RB_the_SID. And as usual, happy 2021, everybody, and here's to a great year.
Yeah, we do have one more thing. Sorry, I forgot to give it the plug. New episode, our next episode definitely coming up. We just finished up a series of unfortunate events, so that'll be coming your guys' way probably within the next 48 hours, if not, definitely within the next week. Our series of unfortunate events review. We may have a special guest appearance from Caitlin. She says she's a little camera shy, but we'd love to have her on as well. She watched that whole series through with us as well. Neil Patrick Harris being incredible as Neil Patrick Harris, as Count Olaf and his many alter egos. Really a great show. We're really excited to review that one. So that'll be our next video. Otherwise, thanks for watching another episode of Top of the List, guys. See you later.
Later, guys.